Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series, Season 3, Episode 14, The Dark Phoenix Part 1, Dazzled. This originally came out November 12th, 1994. This episode really continues off from the Phoenix saga because we're finally seeing Jean again after she had left, and they had hinted at earlier in the season that she was back somewhere, so we haven't really seen it, but they also allude to her being like a lab rat. So we're kind of seeing that lab rat scenario where she's actually going under a type of therapy with Moira on Muir Island. Professor X is trying to help her, and X is asking the Phoenix why it hasn't left Jean yet, because its task was accomplished. And we'll see Jean has these outbursts as a response. And at that point, Moira's like, you know what, this isn't working. Just take her home. You know, do the therapy at your place, X. Get out of here. And we also get that horrifying scream Jean does. This show loves to just do the most terrifying screams when anyone screams in the show. But then we'll cut to now Gambit and Scott are watching Dazzler. So this is the first full appearance of Dazzler we've seen. And it's cool seeing the character of Dazzler now because there's heavy rumors that Taylor Swift is going to play her in Deadpool 3. But while Scott's at the club watching Dazzler, he gets a telepathic message from Jean, help me, Scott. But when Scott's on his way out to help her, this is where the Inner Circle is trying to kidnap Dazzler. Scott saves her, and then she saves Scott. And you see Dazzler's pretty aggressive. Just like, Scott, come see me tomorrow night. And then she's like, it's a date. Instantly set up, which cuts to one of my favorite visuals of the show ever. Is just Wolverine slicing salami with his claws. That was great. But when Jean shows back up, Scott's frustrated. There's no progress here with Jean. But this is where a very important line comes from Professor X to Cyclops, where he says, if Jean is to have any hope of survival, she needs to draw strength from you through your unique psychic rapport. You may be your only hope. So this is important because this already gets a little payoff in this episode when Jean is under the illusion of Mastermind that Scott is protecting her in her mind from afar, which is pretty cool. Now, I just want to say, hit that sub button if you're enjoying these reviews. I can use all the help I can get. If you're on TikTok, please sub on YouTube for reviews of comics, figures, you name it, everything X-Men. Now, what excited me the most in this episode is we get to see the Inner Circle, but what really was the best part is seeing the first full appearance of the one and only Emma Frost. And she's great in this episode. Her psychic abilities are what sense a stronger mutant that is there than someone like a Dazzler, and that it's Jean Grey / Phoenix. And Emma Frost does a lot of exposition here, which maybe because it's a kid show, they wanted to catch people up what happened in the original Phoenix saga. As a story, really didn't seem necessary, but I get it. But where we get the new information is that the Phoenix had deposited the crystal into the sun, but then returned to Earth in Jean. It wasn't done. And this is where X will connect later on that, you know what, Phoenix just likes the feeling of being in Jean's body. This is new to her. And you see Emma Frost has this great little monologue where she's like talking how Professor X was distracted, and this was her chance to get his information from his computer while he has so much going on. But we'll see Mastermind in his first full appearance, a classic comic character in the X-Men story, and he suggests that whoever the host of Phoenix can be taken control of. That is the key to get control of something so powerful like a Phoenix. Now, I love when Scott tells Jean he's going to see Dazzler, and then Jean responds in a very Exorcist voice, you would leave me to be with another woman? I thought that was so funny. Now we get this big sequence where Cyclops leaves and then Storm watches Jean. I love Storm's night getup here, but this is where Emma will go into Jean's mind, leading Mastermind also into her mind, and he changes her reality to something out of Peter Pan or Little Mermaid. And like I said, this is where Cyclops will put a stop to this. There's a connection there that protects her, and Mastermind's pissed they failed, so he's like, we gotta go get Jean now. Now what's cool is when Jean leaves, she ends up at the club where Dazzler and Cyclops are, and I love we get our first glimpse of her Dark Phoenix outfit here. I love too, if you catch it in the club when she first sees Cyclops and Dazzler together, there's just this couple that's dancing in the same movement on loop. I always love that stuff with old 90s animation. But Dazzler smooches Scott in front of Jean, and Dazzler has some great lines here where she's like, who's that, the inevitable girlfriend? And then Mastermind pulls an illusion on Jean, and then they kiss, so we got this hot X-Men drama going on here. And Dazzler's like, looks like X ex-girlfriend now. And then Cyclops goes, something's wrong, I'm going after them. And Dazzler goes, some guys just can't take a hit. So good. Now the X-Men go to the inner circle to rescue Jean, and you see Jean and Mastermind, they're already getting married. And I love when Rogue sees this and breaks in, and she's like, you must be brainwashed. But at the same time, Storm is like, let's go save Jean, but she has the X-Men in a whirlwind. I thought that was a really funny way to bring them up. And it was cool to see this battle with all these different unique powers of the inner circle. I thought it was cool seeing Shaw getting stronger from someone like a Rogue and a Cyclops. And honestly, Storm is just kicking serious ass in this battle, but it was a perfect setup because you needed a big adversary to stop her. And there you go. It's Dark Phoenix, Jean. And she's like, Jean, why? And she says, no, not Jean. Only her body, only her delicious senses. I am Phoenix. Almost sounds like a line Venom would say. I always love that line. It's very cool. And then she calls Mastermind her husband, so you know she's like fully into this inner circle now and brainwashed. And it's a great cliffhanger to start the 4-part saga. So it's just strong setup this episode with really great appearances, and finally seeing Emma Frost, seeing Mastermind in their first full appearances, and the same with Dazzler. It's just really fun, and it gets to it, but also keeps things making sense as well in a more complicated storyline from the comics. So they do a good job at that through Emma Frost's exposition, but also Professor X and explaining what's going on exactly with Jean. So I'm going to give this one an 8.7. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment, try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button, and I'll see you next time.